When the name Lord Stanley echoes through the halls of history, most minds dart straight to the holy grail of hockey, the Stanley Cup. Since its inception in 1892, the Stanley Cup has stood as the most coveted prize in professional ice hockey. Its gleaming silver form represents not only excellence on the ice, but also a rich tapestry of tradition, triumph, and the enduring spirit of competition. It is the source of dreams and heartache by players and fans alike. But who exactly was this Stanley Fellow, and how did his silver chalice become the centerpiece of a sport loved by millions? In this video, we'll be exploring the origins of the Stanley Cup, and that begins by learning a little something about its creator, too. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss out on any of our captivating Canadian content. Frederick Arthur Stanley was born in London, England on January 15, 1841, into a life of privilege. His father, Edward George Geoffrey Stanley Smith, was a three-time serving British Prime Minister, and his mother was aristocrat Emma Boodle Wilbraham. Frederick, also known as Lord Stanley of Preston, received his education at Eton College and Sandhurst Military Academy, where he trained to become an officer in the British Army. He served as an officer with the Grenadier Guards Regiment from 1858 until 1865, when he retired as a captain. His family's prominent role in British politics soon called him into political life when he was elected Conservative Member of Parliament for Preston, a constituency near his family's estates in Lancashire. Over the years, he served in a series of government posts, including Lord of the Admiralty, Financial Secretary to the War Office, Financial Secretary to the Treasury, and Secretary for the State of War. In 1885 to 1886, Frederick served as Secretary for the State of Colonies and corresponded with Canadian Prime Minister John A. Macdonald. He was also President of the British Board of Trade. On May 31, 1864, he married Lady Constance Villiers. The couple had 10 children, 8 of whom survived into adulthood. Stanley was appointed the 6th Governor-General of Canada and Commander-in-Chief of Prince Edward Island on May 1, 1888 by Queen Victoria. Lord Stanley traveled to Quebec with his wife and 4 of their children 1 month later. As to their official residence in Ottawa, Stanley described it as, quote, an unsightly and unhealthy patchwork building known as Rideau Hall. Stanley also had an official residence in Quebec City and enjoyed his time in Quebec so much so that the family purchased property for a country house on the Cascapedia River. The Stanley House still stands and is a Queen Anne summer residence built of natural materials. It now operates as a Stanley House Inn and is located in New Richmond. During his time as Governor-General, Lord Stanley worked to improve the lives of Canadians, particularly the working class and the poor. He supported the construction of schools and hospitals and helped to create programs to promote education and health. Stanley was a patron of the Royal Canadian Yacht Club, Royal Society of Canada, and the Rideau Curling Club. He received an honorary Doctor of Law degree from Queen's University at Kingston in 1889. Stanley was committed to the political impartiality of the Governor-General's office and refused to interfere in the passage of controversial legislation. During 1889, Lord and Lady Stanley and 2 of their children, Edward and Isabel, toured Western Canada. In Victoria, Stanley praised the provinces that he had visited so far, stating in his speech, quote, in all the parts of the Dominion I have been met by kindness so spontaneous and overpowering that each place I have visited I would like to make my home. I lost my heart to Quebec. I am thoroughly content to remain in Ottawa once I reach there. pronounced Manitoba a splendid place for a man to make his home, and find British Columbia unequaled among them all. He opened Stanley Park, which was named after him, in Vancouver, and dedicated the park to the use of enjoyment of people of all colors, creeds, and customs for all time. In 1890, Stanley toured the Atlantic provinces and visited an industrial exhibition in St. John, New Brunswick. Lord Stanley's wife, Constance, whom Wilfrid Laurier described as an able and witty woman, made a lasting contribution during her husband's term of office. In 1891, she founded the Lady Stanley Institute for Trained Nurses on Rideau Street and the first nursing school in Ottawa. During his first winter in Canada, Lord Stanley attended the Montreal Winter Carnival and watched his first hockey game, a contest between the Montreal Victorias and the Montreal Amateur Athletic Association. According to the Montreal Gazette, he, quote, expressed his great delight with the game of hockey and the expertise of the players. Lord and Lady Stanley and their children became enthusiastic fans of hockey, which was rapidly gaining popularity in the country. Their daughter Isabel and sons Arthur, Algernon, and Edward quickly took up the sport. Isabel participated in the first recorded women's ice hockey match, which took place on the Rideau rink on the 10th of February, 1891. Arthur and Algernon organized and played on the Rideau Rebels team. Stanley sponsored a large outdoor rink at Rideau Hall and helped finance the Ottawa Hockey Club. Realizing the potential for this chaotic yet captivating sport, Stanley decided it needed a symbol, a prize worthy of the battles fought on the ice. Thus, in 1892, he purchased a silver bowl for a mere 10 guineas, the equivalent of roughly $50, and decreed it the trophy for Canada's top amateur hockey team. Little did he know that this unassuming piece of silverware would soon become the stuff of legends. On the 18th of March, 1892, Stanley announced the donation of the Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup, later to be known as the Stanley Cup, in a message read by his aide at the Rideau Club, where the Ottawa Hockey Club was celebrating winning the championship of the Ontario Hockey Association. I have for some time been thinking that it would be a good thing if there was a Challenge Cup which should be held from year to year by the champion hockey team in the Dominion of Canada. There does not appear to be any such outward sign of a championship at present, and considering the general interest which matches now elicit, and the importance of having the game played fairly under rules generally recognized, I am willing to give a cup which shall be held from year to year by the winning team. The original cup was made by G.R. Collis and Company in Sheffield, England, and was 7.28 inches tall and 11.42 inches in diameter. The trophy was simply a silver bowl minted with the words Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup on one side of the outside rim and From Stanley of Preston with his family coat of arms on the other side. Lord Stanley also established preliminary rules including each winning team at its own expense may have the club name and year engraved on a silver ring fitted on the cup, and the fact that the cup shall remain a challenge cup and should not become the property of one team even if won more than once. The first award of the Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup was to the Montreal Hockey Club in 1893. From 1893 to 1909, it was awarded to amateur hockey teams, but as hockey grew in popularity, so did the Stanley Cup. In 1910, the National Hockey Association took over control of the Cup, and professional teams began vying for the prestigious prize. The National Hockey Association evolved into the National Hockey League in 1917, solidifying the Cup's status as the ultimate symbol of hockey supremacy. Over the years, the format of the competition changed, introducing playoffs and series to determine the champion, but the allure of hoisting the Stanley Cup remained unchanged. We'll get back to the cup in a minute, but let's just quickly finish off what happened to Lord Frederick Arthur Stanley of Preston. Stanley's term as Governor-General of Canada was due to end in September of 1893. However, in April of that year, his elder brother died. Stanley succeeded him as the 16th Earl of Derby and left Canada on July 15, 1893, to return to England, leaving behind a legacy far beyond his political achievements. Following his return to Britain, the now Earl of Derby served for 1 year, 1895 to 1896, as the first Lord Mayor of Liverpool and subsequently Lord Lieutenant of Lancashire, the first Chancellor of the University of Liverpool in 1903, and President of the British Empire League in 1904. Stanley devoted much of his time in his later years to philanthropy and horse racing. Frederick Stanley, 16th Earl of Derby, died of heart failure on June 14, 1908. Stanley was honored by the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1945 as an honored builder of the sport in Canada. The Stanley Cup is the oldest trophy awarded to a professional sports team in North America and has been awarded every year since 1926, when it became the official championship trophy of the NHL. It has witnessed countless unforgettable moments in hockey history, from Maurice Richard's legendary exploits with the Montreal Canadiens to Wayne Gretzky's dominance with the Edmonton Oilers. Each generation of players have left its mark on the storied trophy. Memorable goals, epic comebacks, and fierce rivalries have all contributed to the Cup's lore, turning it into a symbol of resilience, skill, and the pursuit of greatness. Technically, there are 3 Stanley Cups. The first one, the original one purchased by Lord Stanley, was awarded until 1970. Clarence Campbell, who was president of the NHL at the time, thought the original was becoming too brittle to be passed around. Now that cup, which is referred to as the Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup, is on display at the Hockey Hall of Fame. The current cup, called the Presentation Cup, is the trophy that's given out to the championship teams. There is a Hockey Hall of Fame seal at the bottom that confirms its authenticity. The final cup is a replica of the Presentation Cup. It was created in 1993 to be used as a stand-in at the Hall of Fame when the Presentation Cup is not available. The cup was awarded annually, but there have been 2 exceptions. Once in 1919 due to the Spanish flu, and again in 2005 because of the NHL lockout. Part of what makes the Stanley Cup so special are the traditions associated with it, from the ceremonial handoff to the winning team, the captain taking a lap around the ice with the trophy hoisted above his head, to drinking champagne from the top bowl. Teams have gone to great lengths for a chance to touch the cup, from playing through broken bones to growing questionable playoff beards. Each ritual adds to the cup's mystique. The Stanley Cup has a personality all its own and has its own handlers known as keepers of the cup. They keep and maintain the cup during its trips around the world, making appearances at schools, hospitals, and even war zones, spreading the joy of hockey and inspiring fans young and old. The keepers ensure it doesn't get into too much trouble. In 1909, the winning team kicked the cup into a canal and left it there overnight while they partied, and in the 1990s it was twice left at the bottom of a swimming pool. The 1924 winners forgot it by the side of the road after fixing a flat tire. It was taken to the Kentucky Derby, where the winning racehorse was fed from the bowl, but it has also been used as a dog bowl in the past as well. In 1962, the Stanley Cup was dropped in a bonfire. Rocket Richard chipped 2 teeth drinking out of it after winning in 1957. And those are just a few incidents. Oh, the stories that cup could tell. As the NHL's oldest trophy, the Stanley Cup represents more than just a championship. It embodies the passion, dedication, and camaraderie that define the sport of hockey. For players, winning the cup is the culmination of a lifelong dream. For fans, it's a source of pride and a reminder of the moments that define their team's history. From its humble beginnings to its status as the ultimate prize in professional hockey, the Cup has captivated fans and players alike for over a century. Sadly, Lord Stanley never saw a Stanley Cup championship game, nor did he ever award the prize. On a related note, the National Women's Hockey League's championship trophy is the Isabelle Cup, named in honor of Stanley's daughter Isabelle and her participation in Canada's first recorded women's hockey game. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, there are a few things you can do to help support our channel. Give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and leave a comment. Please consider giving us a super thanks on YouTube or buy us a coffee so we can continue bringing you interesting Canadian content. Let us know if there's a Canadian story you'd like us to cover in a future episode. For more videos about Canada, please subscribe and ring the bell icon to be notified of our next video upload.